All right, so you're ready to dive into the world of WarCult, huh? This add-on has been turning heads with its, well, let's just say, unique approach to PvP in World of Warcraft.
It certainly has a way of grabbing your attention, doesn't it? That name alone, WarCult. It conjures up images of, well...
Yeah, some pretty hardcore stuff. And honestly, the way this add-on blends in-game action with, let's say, a dash of virtual bloodshed, it's not that far off.
It definitely piques your curiosity. And for good reason. As someone who spends a lot of time thinking about what makes games tick, I'm fascinated by how WarCult taps into those primal desires we all have.
Primal desires, huh? Like what?
Think about it, progression, that feeling of getting stronger, more powerful, that's a universal desire, right? And WarCult ties it directly to the heart of WoW's PvP combat.
Okay, so you're saying this isn't just another kill tracker?
Not at all. It's about tapping into something deeper, something more primal. But for those new to the WarCult scene, let's break it down a bit.
Yeah, let's get into it. So, from what I've gathered, it all starts with those killing blows.
Yeah.
And not just in battlegrounds or arenas. We're talking any PvP scenario you can find yourself in.
Exactly. World PvP, battlegrounds, even those random duels in Goldshire. If you can get a killing blow, WarCult is watching.
Watching and, I assume, keeping score.
Absolutely. Those KBs are your currency. Rack them up and you earn cult experience points, XP, for the initiated. But here's where it gets interesting. This isn't your typical experience bar. Instead of just leveling up, you take this experience to specific locations.
Sacrifice zones, right?
You got it. And these zones, they change every single week.
Wait, so it's like a moving target? That's kind of cool, actually. Keeps things interesting.
That's the genius of it. It plays into our need for novelty, for a sense of exploration and surprise. Most games would just throw you a leaderboard or some shiny loot for getting kills, right?
Right. Great, congratulations, you've achieved Carnage Master. Here's a slightly shinier sword.
Exactly. But WarCult, it introduces this element of mystery and anticipation. Every week, these sacrifice zones shift. And knowing human psychology as well as I do, I can tell you that creates this fear of missing out, this drive to see what the next challenge will be.
You're not just playing the game, you're hooked into the metagame of WarCult itself. I like it.
Precisely. A static location becomes predictable. Players learn the optimal routes, the camping spots, all that. But with shifting zones, every week is a new opportunity for chaos. For those unexpected encounters that make open-world PvP so exhilarating.
Okay, now I'm starting to see the method behind the madness. But let's talk about those zones for a second, because I've got to be honest, some of these games are throwing me off. Elwyn Forest, Red Ridge Mountains. I mean, those aren't exactly the blood-soaked battlefields I pictured for a WarCult.
And that's the other brilliant part. These aren't just endgame zones for geared-up players. We're talking about those starting areas, places many players haven't seen in ages.
You're saying they're breathing life into those old zones? I like that.
Exactly. It injects a dose of high-level PvP action into zones that might otherwise be pretty quiet. Suddenly, that nostalgic trip down memory lane could turn into a fight for your life.
You're telling me. Can you imagine being a new player, just minding your own business, maybe collecting some boar tusks for that low-level quest, and all of a sudden, bam! You stumble upon a group of shadowy figures chanting about sacrifice. Talk about an introduction to World of Warcraft.
Precisely. And that unpredictable element, that's what keeps things fresh, exciting. You never know who'll show up for these rituals.
This is shaping up to be way more than just a simple add-on, isn't it?
Oh, we're just getting started. We haven't even scratched the surface of how you early climb the ranks in this so-called cult of PvP.
All right, you've officially piqued my interest. Hit me with the details. How does this cult XP system actually work?
Well, let's just say, it's not for the faint of heart or the weak of stomach. So you think you've got what it takes to climb the ranks of this WarCult? Yeah, well, buckle up, because it's not just about racking up kills like it's going out of style.
Oh, so it's not as simple as see enemy player, hit enemy player, gain cult points.
Not quite. There's a certain art, a certain finesse to this whole thing.
All right, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me. What makes this XP system different? What's the secret sauce?
Well, first off, just hanging out in those sacrifice zones, that's a start. You'll get some points just for breathing the same air as your fellow cultists.
Sounds easy enough. Sign me up.
So that's all about camping those zones then.
Hold your horses. Remember those kill streaks we talked about? Turns out WarCult is a big fan of those. Nothing says dedicated follower like painting the town red.
Okay, so racking up kills in those zones is where it's at. But what about those of us who prefer a more tactical approach?
I was just getting to that. See, WarCult recognizes that teamwork makes the dream work, even in the pursuit of, shall we say, alternative forms of enlightenment.
Alternative enlightenment, I like it. But what does that even mean in terms of gameplay?
It means those honorable kills you rack up, yeah, those count towards your cult XP, even if it's a buddy landing the final blow. So cooperation, strategy, that's part of the equation too, not just solo rampage. Makes sense. But let's talk about those killing blows for a second. They seem pretty important.
Ah, keen eye you have there. They are indeed critical. Each one gives you a temporary boost, something they call X power. Sounds intense, right?
Much power, huh? What does it do? Makes you run faster, hit harder, turn invisible?
Not quite. But while it's active, every kill you get nets you even more XP. So the more you kill, the faster you climb that cult ladder.
Okay, so it's like a snowball effect. The more you get, the more you want, the more you're incentivized to keep that streak going. Dangerous.
Oh, it definitely has a way of sinking its hooks in you. But, and there's always a but, isn't there? WarCult throws a wrench in the works, a little something they call the death penalty.
Death penalty. Like permadeath, you die, you lose your character, your progress, everything. Okay, now that's hardcore, even for a WarCult.
Nothing quite so drastic, but let's just say death isn't exactly a reward in this add-on. You kick the bucket, you risk losing a good chunk of that hard-earned cult XP. Makes you think twice about charging headfirst into battle, doesn't it?
So it's a balancing act, a constant risk-reward calculation. You got to be good, but you also got to know when to hold them and when to fold them, so to speak.
Precisely. It's about strategy, timing, and maybe a little bit of luck, especially when you factor in all the other variables at play. Remember those modular add-ons we touched on earlier?
Right, the add-ons within the add-on.
Yeah.
It's like Inception, but for WoW PvP. So how do those factor into this whole XP equation?
Well, think of it this way. Each of those add-ons, TopTarget, Kingdam, Vantage, they all offer unique ways to excel in PvP. Right?
It's here. TopTarget for prioritizing targets, Kingdam for tracking damage and healing, all that good stuff.
Exactly. And WarCult cleverly integrates those actions, those strategic choices, into its own reward system.
So if I'm already a Kingdam fanatic, always aiming for that top damage spot, WarCult is going to reward me for that.
You bet. It's like getting extra credit for doing what you already love doing.
Now that is what I call a win-win situation.
Precisely. It's all about giving players choices. You can go all in on WarCult, min-maxing your XP gains through sheer dedication, or you can weave it seamlessly into your existing playstyle. The possibilities, as they say, are virtually endless.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here, from kill streaks and death penalties to the whole add-ons within add-ons thing. But let's be honest, what everyone really wants to know is, what do you actually get for reaching the top, the peak of this WarCult mountain? When you hit Supreme, what's the prize?
Yeah, everyone loves a good reward, right? The million-dollar question. A lifetime supply of Mountain Dew, a virtual throne room in Goldshire.
Don't forget the bragging rights. Imagine strutting around with a title like Supreme over your head. People would be bowing down in Ironforge.
Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but Blizzard hasn't quite gone full-on secret society with physical rewards yet, anyway.
So no real-life crowns. Bummer.
Not this time. But you know, the thing about WarCult, the thing that really makes it tick, is that for a lot of players, the real reward isn't some tangible item or flashy title.
You're going to say it's the friends we made along the way, aren't you?
Okay, maybe not just the friends, but the social aspect is a huge part of it. Remember that Discord integration we mentioned?
Right. You level up in WarCult. You unlock special perks in the WoW PvP Discord server.
Exactly. And it becomes this badge of honor, a way to instantly connect with other players who are just as dedicated, just as into the, let's call it the art of WarCult.
So it's like finding your tribe, your people who get it, the grind, the thrill, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. Sharing strategies, celebrating victories, maybe engaging in some friendly trash talk along the way.
Because what's a good rivalry without a little trash talk?
Exactly. It's all part of the fun. And that's what elevates WarCult beyond just a simple add-on. It becomes this shared experience, this social movement within the larger WoW community.
It's kind of beautiful when you think about it. But you know what else I think is cool? Those sacrifice zones, they sound so ominous, so mysterious.
Right. Like, what actually happens there? Is there some kind of ritual dance?
Do you have to sacrifice a lock of your hair to the PvP gods?
Okay, so maybe there are no actual sacrifices involved, but the developers did add a little visual Easter egg that I think perfectly captures the spirit of the add-on.
Oh. I'm listening.
So you know how the X that marks the sacrifice zone on your map is divided into 4 sections?
Yeah.
Well, if enough players gather in that zone, they can actually arrange themselves within those sections to form a giant human X on the ground.
Are you serious? That's amazing.
Right, it's like a flash mob of death-worshipping PvP enthusiasts.
That's brilliant. I take back everything I said about no sacrifices. That's way better.
It's such a small detail, but it speaks volumes about what WarCult is all about. It's not just about the grind, the rewards, the rankings. It's about those shared moments, the stories you can tell later, the camaraderie of being part of something different.
Different in a good way.
Oh, definitely in a good way.
This whole thing has been a real eye-opener. WarCult, it's more than just an add-on, isn't it? It's like a subculture within World of Warcraft. A community united by competition, camaraderie, and maybe just a little touch of madness.
Well said. It's a testament to the power of games to bring people together in unexpected ways.
It certainly is. Well, on that note, I think we've plumbed the depths of WarCult for today. We've explored its mechanics, its social dynamics, its unique approach to PvP progression, and even its flair for the theatrical.
We even faced our fear of missing out on those sacrifice zone rewards.
If you're looking for a PvP experience that's a little bit different, a little bit edgy, and a whole lot of fun, WarCult might just be the add-on for you. So go forth, embrace your inner cultist, and who knows, maybe we'll see you out there in the sacrifice zones battling for glory, for experience, and for the sheer thrill of the chase. Until next time, happy hunting.
No!